Eagle Trades Discord. Wanted to go over how I use Sweepcast to find swing trade setups following the big money. If you find anything in this video useful, appreciate a like and a subscribe. But let's get right into it. So what I like to do on Sweepcast is I like to make a watch list right here. And for example, I'm going to take Facebook off, take Walmart off. So pretty much just type the tickers you want to look at, Facebook, Walmart, type that back in. So these are the tickers I usually look at every single week. Not to say I don't play anything else, but these are tickers I look for every single week. And basically you turn on the flow for just these tickers. You just want to go right here and set it as your watch list. If you click it again, it's gonna turn it off and show everything else. If you click it again, that's gonna turn it on. All right, so let's recap this week. So we're gonna go back to the flow all the way on July 30th, right before market close. How can you find something to swing trade, right? So if you look right at this, you can see that there was a lot of option flow over here for Tesla. The one ticker that stood out is Tesla, right? So let's go over to Tesla and see what it did from July 30th to the next trading day. I think it was August 2nd. Right, so you can see over here on July 30th. So if you're not familiar reading candles, I'm going to try to keep this video as simple as possible, not going to too many details in the trading, but if you're not familiar reading candles, the top part of the solid part of the candle is where, on the green candle, is where the ticker closed on that trading day. If it's a red candle, the bottom part of the solid part is where it closed on the previous trading day, right? So July 30th, you can see that Tesla ended the day about 681.29, and you can see on August 2nd, went all the way up to about $726. All right, so 681 to 727. All right, so we actually took this in the Discord. Let's see, Tesla looks good to swing into next week. Tesla Day coming up, and we took the 720 calls for 8.6. You can see I closed these for about 135% profit. Held after a couple of minutes and went up to about 300%. Right? Just wanted to be clear, this flow is not the only thing I use for swing trading. I don't use it as often, but they are very helpful. Obviously you don't want to blind trade. You want to make sure that the setup is good. Is there an event coming up? Is a ticker oversold or bought? You want to look at everything, all right? So let's get right back into Sweepcast. Let's go over to the next day. Let's go to August 2nd. All right. So the ticker over here that really stood out is Apple. Sweep call, sweep call. One thing I do want to point out about Sweepcast is that their option flow is delayed by about 45 seconds to 60 seconds. Sometimes I've seen it about probably 90 seconds in a delay as much. But I would say about 45 seconds to a minute at least is how much the flow is delayed. So if you don't catch something right at market close, you can look to trade it the next day. All right. So Apple really stood out over here. You can see sweep call, sweep call. There was a put over here. It's not going to be perfect. Sweep call. You want to make sure you look at the expirations as well. That was expiring that week, 2 weeks. Sweep call, 2 weeks for Apple, 2 weeks for Apple. All right, so there was a lot of Apple calls. You can also see that there were Tesla calls, right? So let's go back to Tesla. And August 2nd, you can see it ended the day 708.58. Next day went up to about 722. So that's about my math's good, about $14 move for Tesla. And again, we actually did play that. Let's see, call out Tesla. Gonna get a Tesla in square positions for the next day. Sadly, did not get filled on square. And we ended up selling it for about 62% the next day, right? So let's go look at Apple. Let's see what it did. It's August 2nd. You can see Apple ended the day at 146, and the next day went up to 148. So a $2 move on Apple. So if you got weekly contracts, I mean, you're looking at least like 40 to 50% if you got out of the money, right? So let's go back to Sweepcast. Let's look at the next day, 803. So what really stood out on this day, and I didn't make these trades, but what really stood out is as you get familiar with Sweepcast, you're gonna know what tickers are very common, and you can kind of ignore them sometimes, and what are not very common, right? So what wasn't very common, and this showed up at, it says 3:59, but it actually probably showed up at about 4 o'clock, right? So Chewy stood out, and let's see, and Uber, we had sweep call over here. You want to make sure you look at the expiration dates. Another sweep call over here at 3:55, right? So let's go ahead and look at Uber from let me go back. So this is from 803 to 804, right? So let's see. Uber on August 3rd ended the day about 42.87. Next day went up to about 43.63. So option contracts, I would say if you got weekly, were probably, if you got a ride at market open, maybe 15% or so. But if they were weekly, Uber the next day after, on August 5th, did have another move to about 44.59 and then 44.88 by Friday if you held those contracts and didn't sell for a loss, right? And the other one that stood out is Chewy, and I think that was probably a better one if you actually did get into it right at market open or so the next day. So August 3rd is where the flow came in. So Chewy ended the day about 85.92. You can see it actually opened up about 85.53, went all the way up to about $90.92, and actually ended the week about 92. So that would have been a great trade for Chewy if you got into that. Let's look at the next day. Also wanted to point out, you want to make sure that you, again, don't blindly trade this. You want to make sure that you have your support and resistance lines, and you want to make sure that you have good trigger levels set up. For example, right here, and this is real quick, looking at a daily chart, you can see that the resistance over here would have probably been about $90. And that would have been a good entry for Chewy. So you don't want to just blindly trade it. Alright, so let's go to the next day, August 4th. That's Wednesday. Right before close, you can see again it was Uber calls stood out. You did see NVIDIA over here, but you probably got this alert right after market close because of the delay. And Coin is not one that shows up too often on here, so there was a sweep put for Coin, right? All right, so let's start with, we already looked at Uber. Let's look at NVIDIA. So that was from August 4th to August 5th. So NVIDIA ended the day on August 4th about $200.95, and the next day went up to about 207, right? So that actually would have been a great trade if you got into that. I believe you got into that in the Discord. Let me check real quick. See right here we got into no, actually that was a previous day. We got into NVIDIA, so we actually played it from the previous day. Let's see if you got into NVIDIA right here. Nope. So we actually played it the previous day for about 65% profit. Alright, so NVIDIA had a good move, and Coin. Let's look at Coin. Alright, so that was from 804. So Coin ended the day on August 4th about 237.59, and opened the day about 235, so it was about $1.50 drop. So you could have probably made a couple percentage on that if you swung those coin puts, right? All right, so let's go to the next day, August 5th. All right, so what I want to point out, if you are gonna try to find a swing trade on that Thursday, you want to make sure you go and filter out your expiration. All right, so you don't want to get the ones expiring the next day. You want to go ahead and probably, one thing I do not like about Sweepcast is that it doesn't give you a range to set out on the filters, where it could say from August 13 to August 20th or something like that. You have to go and pick a certain expiration date. And I wish it did the same thing with like premium, but it is what it is. Anyway, so I would go and click August 13th expiration, and you can see the one that really stood out is Facebook calls, right? Facebook call, Facebook call, Facebook call. You did see some AMD calls in here, so let's go and look at what AMD did. So this was on August 5th. AMD ended the day about 114.46. The next day went up to 116.18. So about a $2 move from AMD. So if you actually got weekly contracts, you're looking at about 40-50% at least. All right, so the other play was Facebook. All right, so August 5th, Facebook ended the day about 360.94. Next day went up to about 365.23. Right, so about almost a $5 move over there. Again, weekly contracts are probably at 100%, I believe. So that's one way you can use Sweepcast to find swing trade setups, and these are usually ones you can buy right before market close, or you could find something to trade the next day if you are not able to get in the day before. And usually they are trades you can close the very next morning at market open. If it doesn't hit profit percentage or it doesn't hit in the profits, maybe give it a little more time. But again, you don't want to blindly trade. You want to make sure that you know how to read your charts, and find the best setup for you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me. And again, if you find any value in this video, we'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. And the link to our Discord is in the information part. We'll talk to you later.